Is this going to be the same book, then? It doesn't appear to be. Creation of the Volk Towers. We've seen these triangles. These triangles are on the different screws that are lying around. I saw one in the secret office, and there was another one that was in Glorfiak mines on the beach there. Yeah, we saw this one on the left, which is like this, and we've seen this one on the far right. Both of those triangles. Okay. But we've just kind of seen them around. They didn't seem to be attached to anything important. Okay. This is the same text as before. The creation of the Volk Towers. Once Heian had perished, and Shuruz had gone into hiding, myself and the other 3 rulers of Fezalta decided that extra security and protection measures needed to be implemented. The levitation crane was the main concern. It needed to be separated from the rest of Neyyah, just as the Velatron Temple had been separated from the rest of the Fezaltian via a portal built deep inside a deep cavern. During this time, murals had also been drawn up depicting 4 core processes behind the importance of Paidas. They were placed around the walls of the cavern, where the portal to the Velatron Temple sat at its center. Paidas would be required to enter the portal cave, which was built into the cliffs on the Lavandis Crystal coastline, and the portal's activation would also require the 4 members of the Paleotis clan to insert Paidas. Lord Konanovic brought together the members of the Paleotis clan and worked alongside an engineer named Jaobi Scarlidi of the Scarlidi Towers, I assume. The son of Liafel Scarlidi, who had designed the Scarlidi Towers. Okay, confirmed. Together, they developed a very powerful teleportation system, strong enough to be able to separate large areas of land. 4 towers were built called the Volk Towers, which contained a very complicated plasma energy stored within the walls of the towers and running deep down into the rocky islands where each Volk Tower was built upon. The plasma is very well protected. If the towers are destroyed, an explosive surge of energy is sent out across a large radius, which will destroy anything in its path. Volk towers also send energy to large areas of Neyyah that require power, such as old Fezaltian light systems and the mechanisms once used to power the old portal to the Velatron Temple. The Scarlidi Towers was the one area of Neyyah which was required to remain at its original location due to where the Paidas were grown below the levitation frame. 3 other major landmasses were separated, however, consisting of Felitu Island, Pinorvia Point, and Glorfiak mines, while a sanctuary zone was created for the Neyyah plant area, forming a center point for being able to access these 4 areas of Neyyah via a powerful portal system called Talida portals. Huge distances were put between these areas of Neyyah, generating various weather systems and time zones. Machines were created to keep track of 3 different details associated with the Volk-separated areas of Neyyah: the sun's position, the location of Neyyah, and the current weather temperature. Each Volk tower shows its active power source with a large Talida portal symbol built on top of each tower, glowing bright with the color of the specific Neyyah location. The Volk towers have enabled Neyyah to remain protected from any potential Eololite attack and keep the production of Paidas prospering. Okay, so this is just interesting. So these places that we're in, all of these places that we're visiting, were once together, but because of this technology of the Volk towers, were separated completely into just different areas of, the planet that this is on. So... yeah. So, machines were created to keep track of 3 different details associated with the Volk-separate areas of Neyyah: the sun's position, the location of Neyyah, And this sounds important, so again, just, you know, yet another thing to write down. Volk Towers track the sun's position. I'm assuming this means the location within Neyyah, because, you know, all of this is Neyyah, I thought. So, location within Neyyah. And the current weather temperature. This will presumably be important at some point. To know. You know, I'll want to be able to identify these Volk Towers. Each Volk Tower shows its active power source with a large Toledo portal symbol built on top of each tower, glowing bright with the color of the specific Neyyah location. The Volk Towers have enabled Neyyah to remain protected from any potential Eel of Light attack. So, hold on, is it stated where these Volk Towers are? Built called Volk Towers, stored within the walls of the towers, running rocky islands each Volk Tower was built upon. The plasma is very well protected. The towers are destroyed and explosive surge energy is sent out across a large radius, which will destroy anything in this path. So these Volk Towers... These Volk Towers are just kind of out in the middle of nowhere then, to my understanding. Like, they're not accessible, we can't just walk up to them. But they exist, they are out there, and they just kind of send power out to the world. Kind of like radio waves, almost. Okay. So then... These triangles... Oh, and I guess that's what they look like. They look like these lighthouses, almost. I'm gonna actually sketch this out. So this is what a Volk Tower looks like then, eh? It's literally just like a you know, a lighthouse. They have like these two kind of horns coming out of them, like at the top. They're kind of surrounded by rocks. Yeah, good enough. And then these triangles are associated with these Volk Towers. Right. Okay. So the screws with these triangles on them, they correspond to, of course, they correspond to the portal shapes. Like there was one, the one in Glorifiac Mines. It was like this guy on the right, and if I am not wrong, its portal is shaped the same way, right? It's yellow and it's shaped like this. Let me actually... I have a picture of it in one of the journals that I picked up. Was it... this one? Yeah. It is this, right? So this shape and this color is of great importance. That, you know, is like the symbol of that Volk Tower, almost. It's the connection to the Volk Tower, is that. And so these screws that we've been finding, and I believe that the far left triangle here is the Fezaltian Islands one, and we did find a screw in the secret office that had that symbol on it. So those screws that we've been finding around that have these triangles on are somehow connected to the Volk Towers, but I don't quite know in what way. You know, we have found them in the worlds that they are for, which, you know, makes sense. I don't quite know still, like, I assumed that they were just meant to indicate something, right? Because they don't seem to be interactive in any way. This is... I could theoretically transcribe this, but again, it's just way too much text for me to want to transcribe manually. Again, we're definitely going to be getting an item to read those. We have all these different types of plants here. One of these guys shown might be Heian, possibly. And that's the constellation numbering system, but this is probably not the place that we actually learn it. Oh, no, those are just the constellations in the sky, probably. There's a book missing from this. Somebody wants to cover something up. And there's stairs upwards here. I'm not missing those. I will come back to those. Did we do this one already? No, we did not. The sun was setting, sending rays of orange and purple light to paint the wooden planks of the harbor bridge below my feet, creaking ever so softly through the otherwise calm lull of sea breeze. That evening was a memorable moment, having returned earlier that day from the successful Neyyah harvest with two of the harvesters based on Fezaltian Island, Viok and Kleine. Before I had stepped into the boat dock at the harbor, Viok met me, close to the Chianti Hall. I rejoiced at the sound of many workers, enjoying one another's company in the warm embrace of delicious drinks and food, and I felt comforted that our efforts to keep a productive and happy community thriving were proving successful. This Fezaltian was prospering. Viok told me that the lavandishing furnace at the gun tower, which the workers on Neyyah refer to as the Reedy, needed to be activated before we departed to the harbor to sail to the Scarlini Towers. I wrote something down about this, right? I wrote something down about a lavandis crystal somewhere. Yeah, gun tower requires lavandis crystal. So I need to write relevant to this note, the Reedy equals alternate or alt name for lavandis. Okay, got that. Viok told me that the lavandishing furnace at the gun tower, which the workers on Neyyah refer to as the Reedy, needed to be activated before we departed to the harbor to sail to the Scarlini Towers. Caleb met us at the bottom of the tower, where the lavandis crystal furnace was situated. I had never seen one of these mechanisms in operation before. One lavandis crystal from the Erlenish rock is placed within the furnace. A clamp with a needle is used to penetrate the crystal and keep it secured underneath a metal shade, brought over the crystal on a small, round, spinning concrete table. Okay. Is this relevant to the icon? There was an icon somewhere of like a table with a bowl on it. Maybe that's what this was depicting. A gas called Lidivium is released from the crystal once the furnace is activated. The gas is lifted up into the top floor of the gun tower, powering the guns mounted there. This all needs to be operational before the harvest is brought back to the harbor from the Scarlidi towers, so defenses are in place against any possible Elopolite attacks. As well as this, the Elopolite shield is manned before the boats can depart for the harvest. The plasma ball shield itself needs to be prepared for activation if any Elopolite attack occurs. Usually 4 workers can easily man the shield's plasma fountain flute system, and the Goler crafts need to be positioned at the correct stations at the Elopolite shield. Elopolite attacks were once heavily targeted at the harbor due to the arrival of the Pieta harvest, and Shrews Califrical's thirst for the Pietas. The shield is now more of a precaution than a required defense measure. Despite Shrews' whereabouts remaining unknown, there have been no sightings of his foul Elopolite creations for a good few years. The sedation chamber has been inactive at the Glorfiak mines for some time now. That might have been the area that we found, the sedation chamber. So, with everything in place, we were finally able to board the boat docked at the harbor. The Toledo Triangle gateway started to rise, bringing in the beautiful white rays of sunlight. One of the harbor operators worked the spin rod mechanism, built on the shore of a small watchtower, enabling the boat to start its descent down the main route using machinery built many moons ago in the Fezaltian past, before the railcart tracks were constructed from the harbor to the Pieta factory for Pieta delivery. Before long, we had set sail, cutting up the glistening white strips of sunlight that kissed the ocean waves. A flock of Telebrock birds flew overhead, as though helping to guide us on our voyage. We were instructed by Caleb that a second boat will be meeting us halfway on our journey. This boat would be the second harvest collector to fulfill the Pieta harvest operations at the levitation crane. I soon spotted the shape of the Scarlidi Tower's walled basin, where 3 big rounded chambers split blue sky behind them in impressive silhouettes. A gorgeous mix of high concrete walls, plated in golden plaques, depicting the Fezaltian flora, were the foundations to a walkway connecting each of the 3 towers together. Another flock of Telebrock birds swept over us, as the grinding metal gears of the 2 entrances into the basin of the Scarlidi Towers began to groan into life. Our boats were heaped with crates, ready to store the Pietas. They rattled endlessly as we passed through the gate into the flooded basin of the Scarlidi Towers. Then the thunderous cheer of the Fezaltian audience burst into life, onlookers getting ready to witness the spectacle about to take place, having arrived here for this special occasion from the various areas of Fezalta. Neyyah provided a fantastic presentation of Pieta harvesting, unlike any other Philidian. Our boat was suddenly enshrouded by bright sunlight, as the silhouettes of the Scarlidi Towers loomed above us. The levitation crane awaited us. We continued sailing over the still calm waters that had filled the basin of the Scarlidi Towers. People gathered at specific entrances into the arena, pushing themselves against the railings, cheering as loud as they could at the sight of our approaching boats about to embark on a process which served as a crucial bloodline to this land. The oak anchored the boat halfway from the entrance into the basin, and the chute of the levitation tower, consisting of a cylinder of gold metal with a large gap in its center, tapering up towards a giant rod fused with various sized Lavandis crystals. This served as the main power source of levitation required to bring the Pietas out of the water, ready for collection. The crane began to burst into life. 2 large, half-disc-shaped metal plates started closing in towards the Lavandis crystal power source, causing the crystals to start glowing a bright green. These clamps would help power and focus the levitation crane's energy into the center of the chute. Our boats were getting very close to this stage, nearing the center of the chute, where the Pietas would be levitated out of the water. An eruption was occurring below the water surface, causing the water inside of the chute of the levitation crane to swell. The levitation was in process, signaled by a loud screech of shifting metal high above the crane. The hum of the crane's energy started to ring deep in my ears. Vibrations surged through the boat and worked their way deep into my bones. I'd never felt anything like this before. I knew that the harvesting of Pietas required powerful sources of energy, but I had never felt anything like this before, period. I knew, there's no period there, but it's supposed to be. I knew that the harvesting of Pietas required powerful sources of energy, but I could also feel how primal it was. The disturbance of the Pietas, untouched for years, now being brought to the open air for the first time. Novik had done well in choosing the specific location for the harvesting. Slowly, the white orb shapes of the emerging, newly harvested Paidas began to rise out of the water. The oak signaled to me that it was now time to start approaching the tower. While the Paidas were levitating at the center of the crane's chute, the energy of levitation was at a safe level to begin the harvesting process. The cheers of the surrounding onlookers grew louder, an intense rush of excitement filling the arena, racing across the flooded waters of the basin almost as fast as the vibrating energy of the levitation crane. I looked up and witnessed the workers at the Scarlini Towers leaning out the windows. Okay, so this book is making it like exceedingly clear, right? The Scarlini Towers is where you harvest Paidas, right? The Paida factory must be where you then like use them to like, you know, put power into them, right? That's where you have like the 4 people sitting around a tank with masks, and then, you know, the Paidas are put in there and they get like powered, right? But they need to be harvested first. They're harvested at the Scarlini Towers. So I wonder if I'm going to have to do this process, if I'm going to have to, you know, if this whole game is going to be learning, like, how do you make a Paida, right? It kind of sounds like it is, right? Go to the Scarlini Towers, perform all these necessary steps to harvest one, get one, but it's not powered. Bring it to the Paida factory. You need 3 other people to help you, and then, you know, you enter this like dreamlike state, and then after 30 minutes or so, it'll have power. I wonder if that's something we're actually going to have to do, or if it's if this is, you know, just describing how they were made for lore reasons. But I looked up and witnessed the workers in Scarlini Towers leaning out of the windows, most likely due to having finished the tasks required to make the levitation process run smoothly. I almost forgot myself, too. This audience had become aware that one of the Fezaltian rulers would be present for this specific harvest. I wouldn't say my presence here made much of a difference to the operations being conducted today. Bjork and Caleb were prime examples of the hard work and dedication needed to oversee the harvesting of the Paidas. While I had been aware of Novik's push for the new designs of Paida harvesting mechanisms, I had not fully understood its powers, its complexities, or the raw power required from Talidian workers. They were the true heroes. Once we were close enough to the chute of the levitation crane, Bjork used rope to secure the boat to a wooden post close to the ladder leading up to the side of the chute. While I stayed in the boat, Bjork climbed the ladder to a small platform jutting out halfway up the side of the chute, and opened a door which led inside of the crane itself. The second boat began to slowly move in towards the center of the crane. There was a shift in the energy flow emitted from the crystals. I felt the water below the boat swell for a second. The hum of energy running through the metal of the chute started to change, lowering in its frequency. Before long, the bright green glow emitted by the lavandus crystals high above started to dim, replaced by a cool shade. From where I was positioned on the boat, I could see the Paidas had now fallen back down to the water's surface. The second boat was now slowly moving into the center of the chute to collect the beautiful white orbs, which would later become the colorful keys of power used on every Floridian on Feamor. We left the Scarlini Towers with 8 crates of Paidas, a very successful harvest. Upon my return to the harbor, Bjork and Caleb departed to the Chianti Hall to rest and enjoy some leisure time after a hard afternoon's work. I decided to join another worker by the name of Leeson in transporting the Paidas cart nearby. The Paida factory would receive these Paidas on the other side of the rail, where the Paiolchus clan shall perform their magic on the newly harvested Paidas. Okay, again, confirm, right? This is an additional thing, right? Again, so I'm right. I'm absolutely right. This is the first step. You need to harvest them. And then, after they're harvested, they get sent to the Paida factory with the 4 people around. And they power them up, right? So they are initially unpowered. They don't do anything. They're just raw, and they're white, and they don't even have any color, right? And then they do that, and it colors them, and it gives them energy. My moments spent harvesting the Paida filled me with great pride and joy, knowing how strong our community has become as a working force, as a people. I'm so proud of the men and women working so hard at delivering the resources needed to keep building our world and feeding the soul of our community. Neyyah flourishes. This was quite an adventure. Okay, another note. We need another note. So this note is raw Paidas, or raw uncolored Paidas, are harvested at Scarlidi Towers. I think that is sort of the main takeaway from this journal, and I'll add using a quote-unquote levitation crane, you know, whatever that looks like. Yes, so the levitation crane is used at the Scarlidi Towers to harvest these raw uncolored Paidas, which are then sent by a boat to the Paida factory, where 4 members, of this Peyotes clan, 4 people, go into these closets type thing, wearing a mask, and there's a tank there of gas, and, they're given the right amount of it. And then they power these crystals, and in that process, they change color, and they get their sort of energy level. That's how that's determined. Okay. That is that journal. Alright? And that's sort of the summary of what that said. This is our starting one. Yes. This is the same one, the same icon as before. So what is upstairs? I've not forgotten about these stairs, don't you worry. What's up here? A door and a path into the center. I'm more drawn to the path to the center. There's a bird there. Okay. Scared the bird off. Can we not walk forward here? It appears we cannot. Yeah, okay, we can't walk up to any of these, but we can just observe them. They are here, wherever they are. There's a bunch of towers around us. Okay. Yeah, so we can't do anything with those. We can walk over here. What is the deal with this building? Okay, another elevator. Man, I can already tell this game is going to be so hard. I haven't really even seen any puzzles yet, but it's going to become so difficult when we actually get puzzles that we have to do. So much of this has just been lore so far. Okay, obviously I meant to put a Paida here. Is there anything else here? Hold on. What is that? Is that just the building we're in? Yeah, I can see. So yeah, that's a Paida we have. It obviously goes there. Has a Smolox icon on it. I'm naturally curious what that does, and it seems to be the only thing here. Okay, let's give it a shot. Let's go for it. It's obvious what to do. This one? Yes, this one. What did that do? I don't know what I just did. Like, did I just do something that cannot be undone? that is the building we were just in that was depicted on there. That feels kind of like redundant information. Like, why have a picture of the building you're currently in the building that you're in? But okay. There's another one over here. Oh, but we can't go there. Oh no, we can go there. Is something going to happen when we activate all of these? Because I'm guessing this is going to be the same story inside, right? We're just going to have a spot to put a crystal. And at this point, I'm just going to try it. Like, you know, there's nothing else to do in here. You might as well... Oh wait, this is the same building we came out of. Yeah, this already has a crystal in it. Okay. I thought this was a different location. I got turned around. But no, it's the same building we were just in. Yeah, from this angle it's clear. There's nowhere else. There's no other buildings here that we can just walk into. So, okay. That seems to be the only interactive thing we can do here. I'm concerned because I do not know what I just did. Or what I just activated. I have no idea. But we have another building. Okay, we can walk to this one too. Are we going to make an equally bad decision here? I think we are. Oh, this is different. Okay, I see an icon for a Pieta down there. What is this? Neyyah Site 28. Yeah, camera systems. Oh. So this is where we would watch the cameras. If we had power to the cameras, which is in the Scarlini Towers, I guess. Camera in use. Crane camera. Location. Arrival sector. No camera signal. Heater server camera status. Pieta required for connection to Neyyah Platinum System number 1. Camera active. Requires power. Awaiting symbol generation. Requires connection to Neyyah Platinum System number 1. Okay. So yeah, we have a spot for a Pieta. Oh. Yeah. Can we open this? We sure can. There are others here too. What's this? Another more of the same. Camera in use. Crystal block mech camera. Location, arrival sector. Crystal block mech status. Yeah, very similar status to the other one. Okay, same story here. What about this one? No camera signal. Okay, obviously we can do the obvious thing and put the Pietas here. I don't know if I'm going to be regretting this. Like, do I only get one of each of these Pietas? Are there going to be multiple places to put these Pietas, but I only get one of each? Okay, this is a straight down blue line, second from the top energy symbol with a triangle. I mean, they all are triangles. What am I talking about? But does this change now? Pieta detected. Successful connection to Neyyah Platinum System number 1. Camera inactive, requires power. Okay, that's kind of what I was expecting. So, to use these cameras, we need to go to the Scarlini Towers. Not that I know why you would want to use these cameras. Of course, now that we put one Pieta here, we might as well put the others, and, you know, make the situation even worse. Because I can't stand the idea of just putting one here. Which one is this one? Line across, 3 energy levels down. Hit. Hold on, what triangle was it? Straight up. Okay. Like an up arrow. This one, I believe? Or this one? Shoot. Is it diagonal? No. Okay. So it's this one. I'm assuming that's going to do the exact same thing for that camera, so I'll do the same thing for this one. Okay, this is the diagonal. Very similar. Open that. This one. Alright. Easy peasy. Definitely there are going to be harder puzzles than that at some point, but nothing else to do in here? Well, that's a nice view. So that obviously is the tower we were just in. There's yet another one over there, which I don't know if that's connected to the system. It looks kind of different. In fact, oh, it kind of looks like one of the Volk towers. But I thought those were just out in the middle of nowhere in the ocean. Is that one of the Volk towers? I can't imagine it being, right? Yeah, those dragons are just everywhere. Those have got to be the Phonoxy. Small-Ox, these are all Small-Ox's contraptions, obviously, because they have his logo on it, and he loves including these Phonoxy in his buildings. His designs. Nothing sneaky going on here? Okay. So, I mean, we covered that. So are there any other doors out of here other than the one we came in? I think this is an alternate door out. No, this is where we started. What is this door over here? This is a new door. We can go this way. That just goes to the same tower I was in. Oh, it's just a viewing platform for it? So this is where they took off with the boats they were talking about. But nothing seemingly interactive here. That's the tower that we were just in. Yeah. Okay. Lower area. Nothing really interactive. Okay. Oh, hold on. What is this? A triangle. That's neither of the two triangles we have written down. It's got to be. This has got to be the screw to this area, right? We keep finding these screws, right? So, you know, I'll draw this one. So, screw in point. Or I'll just write screw in Pinorvia. I'll know what I'm talking about. And it's like this. An upwards triangle this time. Like an up arrow. And again, there's a button in, you know, the same kind of surrounding area as this, but doesn't seem to do anything. That's the same as in the Glorific mines. There was a button there, next to one of these, but it did not do anything when we clicked it. So something that is missing about this. Something I'm not getting. And yeah, other than that, nothing interactive there. So still don't know what the point of those things are. There was one of those screws was in the secret office, but there was no button for that one because it was just kind of, you know, free-standing, free-sitting around in that desk drawer. So I don't know what the deal is there. Oh. We just saw that lady again. Is someone watching us? I'm really getting the sense that she is tracking our movements. She has imbued into us the ability to see what we're doing. And she can see our movements. But I don't know who she is. Is that, the lady who went missing? The Charus? Could that be who she is? I mean, it is, you know, it's probably not Smollox. It doesn't look like a guy, which we know Smollox is a guy. Oh, it's another one of these things. Yeah, okay, so there was one of these on the Fezaltian Islands. It had a portal shape. This one has like a mountain shape. Still don't know what to do with these. You know, we must be able to generate, you know, one of the million names of things that we've encountered. You know, it must describe these blue pillar things. And we must be able to make one and put it here. I do not know what it does, because it wasn't necessary for reprogramming the portal. Actually, this almost looks like the horns on this. They almost look like the Volk Towers, don't they? So maybe this does something with the Volk Towers. Does that perhaps mean that the symbol that I had written down as portal with the circle and the two lines on the side of it, I had been interpreting it as Glorian portal symbol, right? And it's been consistent up to that point. But maybe it actually means Fezaltian Islands. Maybe that is the Fezaltian Islands symbol, and this is the Pinorvia Point symbol. Maybe. I don't really see the need of having two symbols for places, though, considering we already have a perfectly good symbol for them. It's the triangles with the colors in them. Oh, and this device is also in close proximity to this. So these two things are definitely linked in some way. I still don't know what is up with those, and I see the text up there. I could translate it, but it's very little point. We're gonna get an item at some point to translate those. I just know it, because the cursor changes when we mouse over them. So what have we gone into here? Pinorvia Point, Pelska Shrine area. This is a shrine, huh? A very technological looking shrine. So that is a boarded up door. I don't know... Is this where we're gonna trap Smollox? Is this where we're trapping him? It's a pretty empty looking room and the door is all boarded up. Can't look up here. It does definitely give me that sense, right? Why else would you just board off that room and have it empty? I need to review the notes about how that was going to be done. Oh.
The warrior within me wants to charge ever forward. It is Pelska of this Fezaltian. I must monitor, guide, and protect. Peacefully. The betrayals Smollox committed will either be avenged or forgotten. You may change it all, or you may change nothing. A Paita harvest could flourish again, and the Elephantite shield might reignite. You could bring Smollox to this very point, so I can perform the passing. Or you might never discover what Vermeer has been working on, and Smollox's poison will continue to infect the world. I know what you are. Do you? I have activated a barrier to prevent any arrivals on Neyyah. For now, do what you think is right.
Okay. So, yeah, I understood some of those words. So basically, this is, you know, she described herself as the Pelska of this Fezaltian, which I don't know who that makes her, but okay, that is who has been, you know, sort of monitoring us. And there will be no new arrivals. So there's a shield to new arrivals. So that confirms this is not a cycle. This is not some, you know, Vermeer has not just been continually summoning me here. That theory is kind of out the window. At least I think so. That also kind of implies that Smolux, we could bring him here and trap him, and that she wants us to trap him, right? And I think this is the place where we're going to trap him, right? This seems to be it. Ooh, control panel. Like, just immediately looking in that building, it looked like a trap. Which, you know, I'm surprised that Smolux is going to fall for that, but, you know. What's this? Okay, we can't click that. Can't click any of this. Alright, it's just non-interactable right now. Cool. So this is the shrine, huh? It's pretty, but I don't seem to be able to do anything with this. Is this that, is this actually water, or is that portal material? Kind of looks like the portals, doesn't it? But then the portals kind of look like water. Huh. Okay. Yeah, I don't really know right now the significance of any of this. I feel way in over my head, although I think that is kind of an intentional feeling that this game is trying to create. Why can't I go there? Why can I not step forward here? This feels like an area where I should be able to step forward. Is this a bug? Okay. Well, whatever. So that's what's over there. Great. So, you know, we just have people that can kind of teleport to us and tell us what to think. That's cool. I mean, I don't think she actually teleported to us. I think, you know, that was sort of a vision, or, you know, she's transmitting that message from a distance, right? She's not actually there. I don't know how. Is there anything else? You know, I would expect there would kind of be. I would kind of expect that there would be a another door here. Because wasn't there another tower that we didn't go to? That we could see but didn't go to? I thought there was, wasn't there? Where was that tower? Oh, it's isolated. Okay, so that probably is the Volk Tower then, right? Because it very much looks like one, and we can't access it. So those two towers just kind of standing there. But then what's this? Hold on, did I miss something? Did I miss a path? I want to make sure I'm visiting every tower, right? What is this tower that's over here? Can we access this tower? Can we get there? That's not the right one. This one, over here, can we get to it? It's obscured from view here. There it is. I totally missed that. There's a ladder there. Hold on. We can turn left here. Yes. Okay. I'm glad that I was awake enough to notice that. So we can go here. There's something to do here. Another Aida required. This was horizontal. Second from the top. Up arrow. We are just exhausting all of these Pietas. And not for any reasons that I know, you know, I don't know why we're using any of these. This feels like an extremely bad thing to be messing with just at random. I have no idea what this is. Oh! This is the constellation number system building. It's gotta be. Okay. Just press every button to see what happens. Okay. Right. What did Vamir's... I think Vamir's journal said some of these switches didn't work, right? They were unreliable or something? Quickly look at this. Oh! The rail cart leads to the Mahili portal. Hold on, this is irrelevant to what I'm looking for right now, but... The entrance to the underground rail cart works well, even after all these years. This. So this marks the Mahili portal. Hold on. Yeah. Okay, I need to go back to the area around the Piida factory, because this would be a great confirmer, right? If the rail cart has to go there, right? I saw this sticking out of the water somewhere. I don't remember where anymore. Because I thought it was of no great significance at the time. But okay, so this is actually really important. It pertains directly to my goal, because we need to find this Velatron machine. He mentioned a Velatron machine in his transmission to me. It must be relevant to getting into this Lodvik tower, right? It's gotta be. So, it's like directly related to what I want to do. So, you know, the Healy portal. Let's write a note on this again. The Healy portal accessed via rail cart. And that's why we care about that rail cart. So that rail cart that's sitting there, I'm assuming he's talking about the one that's sitting there and it takes a fuse, right? And it goes through the eye portal there. That's going to be something that we've got to ride. It'll take us through a portal, and then we'll get to that Velatron machine that is meant to remain hidden. You know, it's very secretive. So yeah, Mahili portal, access via rail cart, and I'm just going to draw a little diagram of this guy. It's like the symbol for pi, almost, you know. Just like a flat line, and then two lines going down out of it. Okay, that was not relevant to what I wanted to find. I wanted to find where he mentioned the constellation number system. Was that later in here? I see him talking about it there. Yeah, okay, that's why the key I have is the spare key. He gave the other one to Mason, so that one likely blew up. And I still have that dome key. I need to do something with the dome key. I don't know, you know, presumably it has to be used in the area of dome. I don't think I saw anything there that was interactive with that, though. Did I discover a key at the Glorifiak Mines place? Maybe I need to poke around there again. I don't think I found a key there. I have the dome key. But that was from the secret office, I thought. I need to go back there. Man, I need to go everywhere. Okay. I'm not sure if I'll pursue work on the constellation number system I've rigged up currently at the old watchtower on Pinorvia Point. Glitches keep occurring, but some of the switches are activated. Still, it's an enjoyable process, building something which keeps Neyyah alive at its core. And that's all he has to say about that. Okay, so basically he doesn't provide any advice on how to, you know, counteract this. He just says some of the switches don't work, basically. So, 1, we do not know. 2 is this. This is 3. We do not know 4. This is 5. 6, we do not know. This is 7. This is 8. 9, we don't know. Okay, this is 10. I'm assuming that's the type of puzzle this is, right? I'm guessing that there's no actual relation between these numbers. We're just going to have to fill in from other places what the rest of these numbers are. And just confirming, yeah, that's 1, 2. You can tell because along the bottom it shows, right? Like these bars, it is a very obvious counter. And there's kind of a dot off to the side of this. Now, I've seen this symbol without the dot on the side, which makes me think maybe this is actually 1 if you remove the dot, right? The dot is like the signifier that we've gone to 10, right? It's like this is 1 and then this dot is 0, right? So 1, 0, and then this triangle and the dot, that would be 1, 0. It kind of makes me think that, but I do not have enough evidence to fully confirm that. So the numbers we're missing are 1, we're missing 4, we're missing 6, and we're missing 9. If I had to guess, I would guess that the symbol on the left side of this is 1, but I am not sure, right? That is only a guess. But if I had to guess, and hold on. So the numbers we had to know, what was the combination again? It was 4, 2, 3, 1. And it goes Flora, Constellation, Flora, Constellation. So we need to know 2 and 1. This just gives us 2. It just hands 2 to us. We need to know what 1 is. I have a good, I have a decent guess for what 1 is. So, that's a great start. Yeah, okay, that's probably all there is to do here. Hold on, what's this? Oh, that's the book that was missing, hey? Now I wonder why this book has been taken and moved over here. Okay. Well, the birth of the star numbers. Long ago, before all sides of the Great Fezaltian Sea had been visited, the discovery of the Pinorvia had yet to reveal itself to the rulers. The land was known as TOMYSSHADOW. One man by the name of Neyyah was planning on a journey. He had made a boat, and from the shingle shores of a small island called Larta, he set sail across the glass sea, a peaceful place bathed in the warm kiss of the approaching sunrise. Time was cutting a new path of existence into motion, marked by the snaking trail of disturbed waves from the back of Neyyah's boat. The island of Larta had by this point disappeared far off into the distance. Neyyah had been living there for the better part of 10 years, isolated from the rest of Tumblr. Here he became introduced to the mysterious Palskas, creatures that existed beyond the living realms. He believed that they could help bring Tumblr to a whole new chapter, evolving their community and pushing their world forward. On Larta, Neyyah had begun his visions of what he believed would lead him on the discovery of a hidden numerical language, which would present themselves through the stars on a soul voyage across the seas of Feamor. Fueled by the visions and the thoughts he had received from Palskas, Neyyah sailed across the oceans for quite some time, before coming across a small rocky island, surrounded by Pelorian flowers. The sun had almost completely set, and their blue glow seemed fueled by the strengthening moonlight. Neyyah docked the boat and felt the sands of the shore beneath his feet. He then touched the sand, grabbed some in his hand and squeezed it, smiling. Another voice was coming to him, Fezaltian. Upon hearing the word in his head, he looked up and saw a shape take form in the sky, starlight sketching life across the otherwise ink-black emptiness above. This was his message, to start building Fezaltian settlements, which would in turn help fuel their land. The constellation became the number 1. Neyyah boarded his boat and sailed back out across the sea. The night had completely drained the light from the sky, and a blanket of stars gazed down upon the soul traveler, swelling with hidden symbols, eager to make themselves known to the traveler. Neyyah. A second word came to Neyyah. A whisper from a soft woman's voice, Neyyah, and again, as a new island of a rocky outcrop started to show itself, glowing underneath the strengthening starlight. Giant green crystals studded the nearby terrain of the black rock. Upon stepping foot on the island, the crystals seemed to glow brighter, and appeared to stretch outward from the ground, revealing the bright white light at their stems. A lither ray touched the black stones and shingle which surrounded him, then looked up at the night sky to see another symbol reveal himself to him. This is the constellation for the number 2. The rest of the voyage revealed even more. 8 other islands of rock, 8 other words, and 8 other constellations. The moonlight seemed to brighten all the while these discoveries made themselves known to Elethera. Fezaltian, Neyyah, Shrine, Levitation, Theolchish, Aeon, Velatron, Harvest, Creation, and Neyyah. Elethera sailed back to Larta, packed his things, and set sail from those shores for the last time, returning to Tumblr with all his new discoveries, changing the world of what would later become Fezalta forever. Okay. So... these numbers have names, actually. So, and I guess I'm just going to have to make a new... I'm going to have to write them all again for this, because I don't have room for that in my existing columns. Man, this page is really a mess. But I'll write these down just in case. So 1 equals Fezaltian. You know, I find this machine to be kind of pointless. Like, why would he not just... I would get it if we could actually, you know, use a telescope to see these constellations in the sky. That's what I thought was going to happen when he described a tower where it shows numbers. I thought we were going to see the constellations in the sky because, like, you know, it's a constellation number system, right? Wouldn't it make sense if he required technology to see these numbers that we would, like, view them, like, through a telescope? You know, if it's just like a button that you press and it shows the number to you on the screen, why couldn't that just be in this book, right? I don't know. That seems kind of weird to me. Kind of feels like they could have set this particular area at night, because we already had a daytime area. The daytime area was the Felizu Islands. This area could have been set at night, and then they could have, you know, had this be like the telescope to view the constellations in the sky, and that would have made a lot more sense than just, you know, there's a machine to view the numbers that's really overcomplicated, doesn't work sometimes. I don't know, that's weird to me, but whatever. Like, these are, you know, these islands, they're in different parts of this land, so it would make sense that they would be in different time zones, and that, hold on, I wrote that wrong. And that this place could be at night, and then we could just see the symbols through a telescope. You know, that would be way cooler than what's actually here. Not sure if this is going to be relevant to some points, but I would imagine so. Okay. I'm glad I found that building, because that is one of the most straightforward clues in this game so far. Go there, yeah. And with that, I'm pretty sure we've seen actually everything that there is to see here. You know, we've basically fully explored this place, as far as I can tell. So I don't think there were any remaining inaccessible areas. Aside from that one tower, which obviously cannot be reached because there's no path to it. It's just out on an island. Yeah, we've been everywhere and done everything that we can so far. So if we go to Scarlatti Towers, we will probably be able to turn on the camera system that is here, but I do not have a reason to do that yet. And with that, my very obvious goal of learn the constellation number system is out of the way. And Now I have no idea what to do. I mean, okay, I have some idea. I meant to get the railcart system working so that we can power this, so that we can go through this Mahili portal, which goes to a Velatron machine, which we need for some reason. You know, it's very important that we get to this Velatron machine. It's very secretive, and that kind of somehow ties into this Lodvik Tower. That is kind of our ultimate goal, because it'll bring us to Oluche. If any of that made sense. It's a lot of terms, but you know. So obviously I could go back to the mines now. That's like the obvious place to go next. This Lodvik Tower. Is there anything to do here? There's a sign above this, which I assume just kind of says, it probably just says Lodvik Tower. It's the exact right number of letters for Lodvik Tower, so I'm guessing that's what it is that it says. Okay.